speedrun through some of the greatest and worst video games of all time. We just got done running through the 3D Zelda block. Again, shoutouts to both ZFG and Molotov and the Couch crew for the great commentary. Next up, we have got Metroid Prime, followed by Super Metroid, and then Metroid Zero Mission. So get hype, everyone. We are Speed Demos Archive and Speedruns Live coming together to put on AGDQ 2014 to raise money for the Prevent Cancer Foundation, who is going to try to do exactly what I just said, prevent cancer. So far, you guys have very generously donated over $600,000, which is an incredible amount of money to say the least. Real quick, I think we want to show you guys some of the prizes. Looks like we got coming up for this block. Looks like we got a Super Metroid Perler.
So this is the provided by Viking GMR. It's actually the price right, but somehow it's never claimed. So this is the price right at AGDQ. It's a $25 buy-in during the entire Metroid block. So if you donate $25 during this block, that'll make you eligible for this prize. And we also have this amazing poster. The guy who is the official illustrator for the Ghostbusters comics, and it's a $20 buy.
Yeah, there's actually a ton of prizes, like throughout most of the marathon. There are a ton of prizes for this block, including the HD PVR Rocket video recorder, which will require a $10 donation throughout Metroid Prime. And then all the rest of these prizes are for all of the Metroid block, including the AGDQ 2013 scrapbook, a Metroid cast poster of AGDQ 2014, Samus Aran action figure, Samus Perler, Samus vinyl decal, Shine Sparker's poster and CD. Wow, how much do we have? Jesus. Super Metroid Super Famicom cart, and a various suit Samus Perler AGDQ 14. All of those are varying ranges between $5 and $25 minimum, so just donate $25 and you're in for all of that. So again, first up we have got the great Miles SMB doing Metroid Prime. Any percent. I actually was not sure what we were doing. I'll read a few quick donations while we're going through this. We have a $50 donation from Brendan Walsh. Awesome runs for a great cause. Lost 3 grandparents to cancer, and my grandmother is currently fighting hers back. $10 donation from Jack Kowalski. Molotov Boone wants to continue his adventure in VIP 1. He is waiting. Put this towards whatever Molotov wants. Got a $50 donation from Evan Ricker. I've been waiting all marathon for something truly worthwhile to donate for, and with all the announcements of the Bonesaw to Earn dance, that time is finally now. Of course, cancer prevention is a truly worthwhile cause itself. Good luck with the remaining runs. Thank you very much, Evan. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to the couch. If you guys want to introduce yourself, introduce the runner and the commentators, and we can get started.
I'm Kirby Master.
I'm TJP.
I'm ready to start anytime.
Whatever.
Yeah, I don't use it real time.
Did you get that it was fusion soup?
Oh. Can I just continue anyway? How much did it win by?
1,000?
Yeah.
You can pool our money.
Someone snipe it already, right now.
We have a $4,001 donation.
Whoa.
Whoa. Now I feel bad. I got an applause from the audience for that.
There are all you people who have to donate money to make this.
It's so pretty.
3, 2, 1, go.
So
So to compensate, you're gonna need to scan a bunch of extra stuff.
Yeah, so now for the most difficult part of the game. These targets.
All right. Yeah.
Yes!
Okay. Part 2. World record
For those
pace.
of you wondering why we're clapping, Miles is very known for resetting within the first 5 seconds because he misses a target.
So it's very nice to get those well in the run. Yes. Everything else after this is so easy.
It's practically an auto-scroller.
So what you're seeing Miles doing here with the scan visor, by locking onto something, strafing, and then letting go of L at the right time, he's able to move in the air at high speed and gain a lot of horizontal distance. So it's used to move around rooms really quickly, but also to outright break the game, which you'll see later on after he gets off the frigate.
Basically, when you're locked onto something and you strafe to the side, you move really fast, then you slow down really fast. But if you let go of L, it forgets to do the slowing down really fast part. So you just go flying to the side. You can do it.
Good evening, it's Zoid here. How you guys doing?
Hi.
Hi.
Hello. Is there a way you could turn the volume up? Yeah.
Hello?
Yep, we can hear you.
Excellent.
So would you mind introducing yourself?
Hi, my name is Zoid. I'm one of the programmers on Metroid Prime. I was the senior gameplay programmer. I did a lot of the puzzle scripting and interactables, like the door you just shot through, stuff like that. So basically, I did a lot of the development on the systems for the puzzles and stuff. I didn't do much of the boss fights or AIs. I did some of the environments around them, but you know, it was a team of a ton of people, so it was fun making it all.
It's great to have you on.
Sure.
Just a warning that the stream is about 30 seconds behind, so...
Okay.
So the technique you're going to see Miles do here is something called rapid fire missile, where basically when you fire your missile and then you close, when you fire your missile, the end of Samus's arm cannon opens up, and then she has to take time to close it to fire the next missile, but you can close it immediately by either holding C up or by pressing A. And like, now you basically just want to hold C up and then press Y at the right timing, so you can kill the Parasite Queen really quickly like that.
Also, that boss has a weak point, but you can kind of just aim without using locking on the system.
Yeah, you're supposed to scan the boss, and once it's fully scanned over like 5 seconds, you can lock onto the weak point, or you can just aim up and hit it.
This is actually one of the first bosses we worked on, and one of the ones I actually designed myself with another designer.
Nice.
The original concept was she was going to come in through the side of the room, but we went with the tube mechanic with the force fields. It worked out to be a much more interesting mechanic, and to teach the player about moving left and right and strafing is a big part of Metroid.
So if you notice, you see Miles constantly jumping. And the reason why he's doing that is he's doing something called an L jump, where if you're holding L, then you jump, and then you let go of L around a quarter of a second later, then you move a little bit faster. So you want to L jump as much as possible if you're in human form, and there's nothing to scan dash off of. So like if you can't dash off of something, then L jumping is an alternative, which is moving faster than just walking. Of course, going into morph ball is faster than L jumping, so
But
you're
you
going to
don't
see a lot
want
of
to
rolling.
keep morphing and unmorphing because there's an animation based.
Right.
So the tube section here you're going through was one of the early map designs, and one of the first maps we designed that kind of looped back on itself. So it was fun to kind of like make the whole areas connect together. After that, of course, we did it much more with the other worlds. But you know, it was kind of the first way we had a whole level that kind of looped around and came together.
Yeah, I really like how the whole frigate is interconnected, and you go back to the earlier parts of the frigate through the escape.
It actually was a bit of a challenge because the way the game works, you're actually moving, your relative position in the world is actually constant. So we're just loading the areas around you. So when it loops back, it actually has to connect correctly. We're not cheating by teleporting you between the rooms or anything. So, you know, it can sometimes be a little tricky to get everything to line up just perfectly.
Now, something to mention here is, if you remember last AGDQ, Miles did a trick in Prime 2 called item loss skip. Prime 1, that's basically impossible to do at the moment, because there's actually 2 spots in Prime 1 where you lose your items. The first is coming up, which is the obvious part where you crash into some electric barrier and you lose everything. You can actually skip that by going out of bounds and going around it. However, when you take your ship after you escape from Infinite Gate, the moment you land on Talon Overworld, the game strips you of everything you have automatically. So even if you can skip this cutscene right here, you still cannot skip losing your items.
Yeah, I think that's hard-coded actually. So.
Yeah, it's actually really, really annoying to skip this item boss right here. So.
Of course, you know, the old argument is skipping is actually something that we find was amazing for us, because it's not something that was engineered into the game. The game is, you know, set. I'll kind of talk about how the levels are set up. So each room kind of consists as what's kind of like layers. So like if you go to a room and then you go pick up, you know, the gravity suit and you come back to Flagrant, to different environments in the room. And those layers are controlled about which items get picked up in the game. So if you sequence skip an item, it doesn't change the layer, so the room doesn't change, etc. like that. So, you know, that's how sequence break can work sometimes, is because the room layers don't change, so that you can kind of skip things because since you skipped an item, it didn't change the layer, so you skipped whatever second layer was in that room.
It's amazing how well the game holds up, though, when you skip around stuff. Like, I don't know of any way like the game can crash or anything by skipping items, which is really cool.
There is one. I believe you can. There's a skip you can do which causes the power bomb maze to load with the second layer in that room. Both layers load, which will cause a memory overflow and will reset.
I've never actually found a way to do that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought there was a way to do that.
Interesting. Also, you're not supposed to get space jump immediately like this.
Yes.
Just FYI.
Yeah, this is a pretty late game item.
Yeah, like you're supposed to go through Chozo Ruins, then go to Fendran to get Boost Ball, and then come back and get Space Jump. But
yeah, the reason the dash jump works is when you lock on and you dash left, the game creates a higher angular momentum to give you that side dash. But if you let go of the lock, of course, you retain that angular momentum, but it's not pulling you towards the lock, so you go further to your side.
If we could get a quick roll call from the couch and maybe the Skype call again real quick.
Okay,
Kirby Master?
Miles.
Test runner.
TJP 7154.
Base TJP 7154.
And I'm Zoid on Skype.
So because Miles had space jump really early, this completely breaks open the first part of the game, which is Chozo Ruins.
Yes.
And you can, instead of getting a main missile launcher, he just gets a missile tank here, which works.
Yes, and then I'll just go ahead and get this energy tank too.
You have to do an L jump to get this. I don't think you can really reach it with just jumping normally.
Got a $50 donation from Wesley Johnson Graves. So cool getting to hear from a Metroid programmer. You made a fantastic game.
Yes,
Thank you. It was one of the most amazing projects ever to work on. We just, came out to a wonderful game and a wonderful team to work with.
So something to mention is that in the Prime community, we optimize by in-game time, and the in-game time goes on whenever you basically have control of Samus. So like during cutscenes, during pause screens, during item acquisition screens and such, the in-game timer is not going. So there's going to be a few minor optimization Miles does that wastes RTA time, real time, but saves in-game time. And we'll probably point some of the significant ones out.
Yeah, like I could have skipped activating the beetle fights, which would save some real time, but it's not worth it in game time.
Yeah, most of the time, like game time versus real time are very small, like a couple seconds difference.
Okay, this part is weird. This room loads every connecting room at once, And the room I'm going to loads quickly, but the door will refuse to open until every connected room is loaded. But it opens if I pause the game. So, like,
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's faster
very
even
weird.
real time to pause there.
So, and this leads into another minor thing to talk about. There's 3 ways you can open doors. Doors loading is not random. The first way is that in some rooms, when you enter them, every door connected to the room will start loading automatically. The second and probably the most common way is there are invisible loading triggers all over a room, so when you hit them, and then the appropriate adjacent room will start loading. So in those cases,
I actually put in about half of those triggers, so I still remember where most of them are. So the trick is the original design, we actually always loaded all the side rooms, but we started to hit memory concerns, especially with like large rooms like this one, when you have other large rooms connected to it. So that's when we put the triggers in. They're tricky to write, right? Because you want the trigger at a place where the player's not waiting too long for the door to open. But of course, same as having a morph ball, can always get there rather quickly. So it's always a balance to try and make sure the doors open up in a reasonable time.
so sometimes there are times when the door takes some time to load, no matter how quickly you reach it. So in those cases, it's actually faster to use a strategy where you hit the invisible loading trigger as early as possible, even if it takes longer to reach the door, because that means you'll wait less for the door to open. And
I think the worst loading room in the game is the Ridley boss room.
That was terrible. Wait, the third way a room loads is, which almost never happens, is if you shoot the door and you're really close to it. And this will only happen if you're out of bounds, which you'll see in a bit.
yeah. And now for Incinerator Drone.
We love you, Zoid.
Yeah.
Blame Zoid.
So this boss was actually one of the first other ones I designed after the Parasite Queen, and I'm kind of a favor randomness. So his attack sequence pattern is not fixed; it's actually random. So how long he'll burn sideways and all that stuff is actually in which direction is randomized. I favor designing bosses that are always a challenge that you can't just break by remembering it directly. I really wanted the player to emphasize skill, so that's why I did it that way. Of course, your speedrunner, it's kind of annoying.
So like how long it takes for the red button to show up is completely random, which Zoid said that he programmed.
Yeah, that's
But
actually pretty bad so far.
The location of the button's always the same though.
Yes.
It's always this side, and that side, and this side, and that side. Let's not do that.
And also, if you're wondering why Miles is scanning stuff, it's because he can.
Yeah.
He's bored.
You're not going for 100% scans, are you?
Yuck, no.
We got a $25 donation from Radman. I'm still a little disappointed that my bid war was beaten, but seeing that I've donated $750 already with more coming, and that it's going to a cause that would have helped my stepdad anyway, I can still have a smile. Metroid is my favorite game franchise ever, and this block has my 3 favorite titles being run. Cannot wait for the 4-player Super Metroid race. Let insanity ensue. This goes to the 242nd star in Super Mario Galaxy 2. Keep the marathon going strong. Hashtag 80 core bust from Radman, the PJ Salty Lucario. P.S. Spike, when's Mario Party? Big play is going to happen during bonus stream.
All right, so something coming up is something we call IBABF, which is
Ice cream before Flagra.
Ice cream before Flagra, right? So this is an out of bounds. This is probably the only useful out of bounds for speedrunning at the moment.
Well, if you want to do a 21% speedrun, there's more useful, but good luck to you if you want.
So essentially, you need Wave Beam normally to get to Ice Beam, but by getting Ice Beam before Flagra, you can skip an extra detour to Chozo Ruins, which saves a lot of time.
The little morph ball door there, those weren't originally there until we figured out that people could beat the loads in morph ball tunnels, and they'd fall out of the world because the other room hadn't loaded yet. So we actually had to make these little tiny doors and stick them in the morph ball tunnels. Ideally, you were not supposed to ever see them, but it was kind of funny because it wasn't until our testers started really running around the game and accelerating it that they were like, oh, I fell out of the game in the morph ball. So we had to put those in.
All right, so yeah, this is, by the way, a lot harder than it looks.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
Like there are very
I'm actually
specific
surprised
spots
you
you
got
need to
out there
land
pretty
on,
quick.
and you have to make sure to hit the invisible loading trigger for the next rooms, for certain rooms. And also to get out of bounds in the first place, Mouse did something called a ghetto jump, which is where you jump against a slant to gain extra height. The ghetto jump he did to get out of bounds is more difficult than it looks.
Yeah. For
It's
the
not that trivial.
I do not know why they came up with the name Ghetto Jump.
I don't know either. It's just a coin term.
Yeah.
So there's an interesting artifact about being out of bounds is the way the physics works for the player is it does a raycast down to see if there's ground underneath you, and if there isn't, it doesn't move, it doesn't make you fall, which is one way that I think these out of bounds work, because you don't, if you're out of the environment, you won't fall to your death or keep falling forever. It's kind of just an artifact of the physics engine that was developed.
Right.
Yeah, it's really nice that it does that.
It was actually nice for development, because in development, not all the rooms are fully closed properly, so you end up standing out in space sometimes. So it was nice because in development you don't fall to your death, and it just got left in.
And most of the out-of-bounds surfaces are sticky. That's why you see him sometimes sticking to the wall, trying to find those standable spots where he can navigate
because-
more quickly.
Very
through.
nice.
Nice.
Very nice.
That's because, that's because the way the physics works is the environment is
So-
one-sided. So when you're touching the other side, you're actually interacting behind. So it depends on which surface you come through.
Yep.
That was another ghetto jump he did. A ghetto jump off the slant on top of
Yeah,
Toad.
it is a really easy one. I have been messing it up every single time.
Right, so this is one of the optimizations for in-game time we mentioned. If you let the cutscene play out while holding C down, you automatically switch to Ice Beam by letting the cutscene play out. But if you skip the cutscene, you don't automatically switch to Ice Beam, so you waste some in-game time by not doing that.
Wasted about 9 real-time seconds to save maybe a quarter of a second in game. So
Yeah, there's probably a lot of stuff you guys didn't understand about what happened during IBBF, and it would take way too long to explain every little
okay,
thing.
here's the Chozo Ghost fight.
Oh my god.
I'm not sure if it's going to happen here, but if you hit a ghost with a charge shot while it's stashing away, normally it will turn invisible and you can't hurt it anymore, but it will stay visible until it stops moving if you hit during a dash. And that makes it really easy to hit.
So let me talk about this room. This room was actually the first puzzle I scripted in Prime based on our designs. And the reason I did it first was because it was the most challenging in terms of, you know, the physics of the rotating platform and all that stuff. So it was the first one that stressed the physics system by having the morph ball go through the tunnels, stressed the puzzles, and that you had to, like, you know, hit each of the beams and all that stuff. So I think you're going to return here later, if I remember right.
Yeah, I do return there later, but I never use the Chozo statue.
Sorry.
That's fine.
I've got a $50 donation from Aftermath. Greets from Germany. We're all hyped to see Miles crush this game for charity. Sub 1 hour, go go.
Yeah, a couple of times in runs, I've forgotten what I was doing and would get back out of bounds here. And yeah, that's really bad. So good thing I remembered not to do that this time.
Never thought about it.
He wants to kill the animals.
No.
I've also got a $315 donation from PJ.
Wow.
This is the leftover money from the Fab 4 marathon. Big thanks from Feasel, Mecha Richter, Duckfist, PJ, and Flicky for helping to get us here. Your generosity has been overwhelming. That's a word. Here's hoping to see Metroid Zero Mission hard mode low percent. Keep up the great work, everybody. Thank you, PJ.
So, just to mention before, there's a way to get over the runic symbol gate by doing a triple bomb jump over it. But one, because he got Ice Beam, that triggered a lot of beehives to disappear. So you can't use those to quickly climb up the room. And two, we're optimizing by in-game time, so the cutscene to open the gate doesn't count towards in-game time. The triple bomb jump will still be faster in real time, but we're optimized by in-game time. So
Like I mentioned, the reason the ghosts are in there was because the room layer sets were changed because of the ice beam pickup.
Right.
Well, I don't think we ever mentioned this, but Miles is playing on the GameCube NTSC 000 version of this game on the Wii console.
Like, this scan dash I do right here, you can't do that on later versions of the game. Also, this boss, you're supposed to go around hitting the mirrors, and then after you hit the mirrors, Fogger will crash down, and you can get into the Morphball tunnels. But you can just jump onto the tunnels from the top and bomb them that way and skip everything.
The cutscene's a little messed up though.
Yeah.
You can't do that for the first bomb stop, but the first bomb stop's trivial, so it doesn't really matter.
That doesn't matter.
So the red color there that's flashing, I remember we had a meeting to, the GameCube can do what's called an additive color pass on objects. And we had a big meeting to figure out what was the perfect shade of red to show that damage was occurring. And, so we did a bunch of tests and we did things, and then if we try to make sure that every place that flashes to show red is the exact same red color blend, so that the player really understands that damage was occurred. You'll see it on bosses, on enemies, the blocks in the big light tower, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting, those things, like, you don't realize how important they are, like the enemies flashing red, like that. Like, just how much goes into making a game like that.
I've got a $50 donation from Monsieur H. As an indie dev guy, it's so awesome to get to hear about one of my favorite games from one of the guys who actually made it. It's a dream of mine to get to work on a Metroid game one day. I also just wanted to say thanks to all of the developers who have come onto Skype to give us insight into what really went into making these awesome games.
And here is the saddest part of the run, where we get the various suit with fusion suits.
Oh my god.
When do you need the suit choice?
At the beginning of the run.
It's already done. So yeah.
I can quit the run and change it if you want.
You want yours?
Beautiful.
Yeah, the Fusion suit was a really nice bonus that worked out when we, because Fusion was in the same development era time as Prime was, and we were able to kind of connect them together. I remember I scripted a lot of these cinematics too, so for me, I'm visualizing putting those cameras together and everything, which was always fun. The trade-off when you're ever designing a game is the cinematics. You want to make sure communicate and give, when you're showing a cinematic to a player who's picked up an item, you really want to demonstrate to that player, hey, you got it. Here's this awesome thing. Let's show it off to you. And I think we captured that as much as we could. And it's a trade-off, right? Because you don't want the cinematic to be too long, because then the player's not playing. So.
So what happened there is a trick he's doing called Early Wild. So there's an artifact in the room you fight Fogger in called the Artifact of Wild. However, you can't get it until you reload the room. To reload the room, you have to go
It's more
partway
technical
down.
than reloading the room. You have to change the room layers. There's a trigger partway down the shaft. So
Exactly.
I have to drop down to it.
And it's a one-shot trick also.
So the way that room is scripted is when you come up that tower later, it changes the trigger in this room. Because you're supposed to have the spider ball.
Wait,
So wait, since you like
hi.
RNG so much, did you program the Chosa Ghosts?
I did not. The AI was done by a bunch of guys. The way the AIs work is they have what's called a flow system, where they have a set of behaviors that flow together. I think you were mentioning before how you could interrupt one to make him not invisible. And I think what happens there is there's a flow sequence of him, doing the move and then turning invisible. And if you interrupt that sequence by causing him to do a flinch back, that interrupts the sequence to go invisible again.
That's pretty good.
That was a very good fight.
Yeah.
Like that fight could go so much worse from RNG.
Or also, if you stand on artifact when it spawns, the two cutscenes happen at the same time, so it saves a couple seconds.
I want to give you guys a quick update on our next two bidding wars. A little bidding war by the name of Save or Kill Those Little Animals from Super Metroid. Right now, killing the animals is at 23,000. I'm sorry, $23,731.10.
Don't say you're sorry.
Saving them is at $24,215.60.
Yes!
215.60. So about
speedrun.
$485 difference. To also note, Metroid Zero Mission, hard low percent right now is at 2,577.04 cents. 100% at 1,146. About a $1,400 edge. If you want to see 100%, get your donations in. Just to point out real quick that the saving or killing the animals will be cut off at the appearance of Mother Brain, essentially, in that game. So you got the rest of this run and maybe about 40 minutes or so into the next one.
So what you're intended to do for this artifact is to have X-ray visor, notice the artifact inside the pillar, and then use a super missile on it, but for some reason you can use 2 missiles on it without X-ray visor and you can get it anyways.
Sounds like a bug, but should have had the right damage type assigned to it.
So there's going to be a lot of fun with hitting an enemy with a weapon you're not supposed to.
Whoa, that
okay.
was close.
Yeah, it wasn't actually close. It was fine. Yeah, puffers are weird because you take more damage if you shoot them while standing next to them than you do if you actually touch them. Like twice or 3 times as much damage.
Nice, that dash is very difficult.
Yes. Okay, I normally skip this energy tank, but marathons, gotta get the extra help.
It's a pretty short energy tank.
Yeah.
A good little puzzle to teach you the double bomb jump.
Yep. I remember a lot of trouble with this my first playthrough. Kept falling in lava.
Also, if you notice, sometimes when Miles unmorphs, you don't see the unmorphing animation, and that's something called an instant unmorph. There's also an instant morph, but either way, when you...
There is no instant morph in Prime 1.
Oh, there isn't, not in Prime 1. Okay, well, basically, if there's something blocking the camera from behind Samus, then the game skips the animation, which saves a little bit of time. Prime 1's camera is very picky with giving you instant unmorphs, which is why you don't see it as often as in Prime 2 and Prime 3.
Yeah, there's a kind of ridiculous trick where you can actually jump in the middle of the air by using the instant unmorphs, but since you can't really get them in very many places in Prime 1, they're not too useful.
One of the best areas in the game.
Yeah.
Also, he let the cutscene up here play out because Samus walks forward during the cutscene. So if you skip the cutscene at the start, she'll be farther back. But if you let the cutscene play out until the end, then she's farther forward, which saves in-game time.
That's one of those like 10-second real time for 1 second exchanges.
I have a $137 donation from Nate. Miles.
Who's Nate?
Shoutouts to Nate Based God. Miles and Zoid are awesome for coming together for a good cause. Never stop.
Yeah, you're supposed to scan like one of the scanning posts and just moves them all into position, but some well-placed scan dashes you can just kind of
You also have space
go
jump. You're not
across.
supposed to have space jump.
That also helps.
So now is the point where you're supposed to have space jumps, like after you get boost
Yeah,
ball.
so when you get boost balls, you head all the way back to the beginning of the game at this point, you get space jump, and then head all the way back here, you get wave beam.
Yes, but I'm just gonna go straight for wave beam without doing any of that.
It's a massive backtracking to cut out.
Got a $25 donation from Dr. Clark. I met my wife when she stole my microscope while doing cancer research in college together. I love watching AGDQ with her.
Oh, hi, Ridley.
That shadow is way too big for Ridley. I don't think that's how physics works.
It's meant to be noticeable.
Right, so coming up is a fight with the adult Shigoth, well, after 4 BB Shigoth. For some reason, when you if you bomb the adult Shigoth's neck at the right time, it takes triple damage, I think. So you're gonna see Miles drop some bombs at some point, and then right after that, unmorph, and then rapid fire several missiles. And hopefully that means you can kill it in 1 round. That's going to be coming up soon.
I have a $100 donation from Metroid. I was a member of the Metroid Prime 2D project and the Metroid Prime speedrunning community in 2005, and this speedrun is bringing back so many good memories. Shoutouts to all my friends from Samus Forum and MP2D. Let's kill those animals like we'll kill cancer.
So I want to talk through some of the 2D views. So when we prototyped the 2D stuff, we weren't quite sure how it was going to work out. And then when we got it running, it just turned out to be so much fun. We actually had to edge back a bit because we were going a little crazy putting too many of them in the game. We were almost to the point where we were putting one in every connecting hallway between rooms. Because they turned out to be really, really fun, and I think was it Prime 2, we actually had a 2D boss you fight.
Nice.
Yes,
That's the one round. That was perfect.
Oh, I missed. I wanted to hit that crate so I could scan dash off of something, but it doesn't really save that much time anyway. And I can just do that instead.
So he let the cutscene. He could have skipped the cutscene, but he let the cutscene play out, so the body of the adult Cheekov disappears and gives some drops that you can scan off of.
So the way cutscene skip works is the cutscenes are actually playing in the game, so everything's still running. So when you skip it, there's actually special code that says, oh, set everything up like the end of the cutscene would have happened. And obviously sometimes, I guess that's a little off sometimes. So.
Alright, so what Miles is going to do now is go through Magma Caverns. He already has Ice Beam because he did IBBF, so he can go ahead and get Plasma Beam right now. He's going to do, the next room he's going to go through, you're supposed to have Spider Ball, but he's going to do something instead called an R jump, which essentially, you're basically going to do an L jump and then turn around by using the R button.
Yeah, basically your forward speed while in the air is capped, and your sideways speed is not. So I just turned sideways while in the air and go really fast.
Of course, a scan dash is better than doing an R jump, but an R jump is another method of getting distance if there's no scan points.
Yeah, there's nothing to dash off of in that room.
Well, there is, but it takes longer to set. Well, really much longer to set up.
Yeah.
So faster to do an R jump. And something to note in Prime 1 about its physics is that whenever you press R in the air, which is kind of annoying, you lose all control of Samus. You maintain all of your horizontal speed pretty much, but you can't control Samus anymore in terms of horizontal speed. The only thing you can do is wait for her to land or morph. And when you morph, your vertical velocity is set completely to 0.
So yeah, that jump is a lot harder than it looks.
That jump's very difficult.
I actually died earlier today from missing it. So
There is a backup you can do if you miss it by doing a bomb jump out of the lava pool.
yeah.
That's another R
failed
jump.
that 3 times.
So now he's going to get Plasma Beam early. He does a ghetto jump here, and does another R jump right here to reach this platform.
There's a
Without having to use
even
grapple.
and get up here, yeah.
I believe in the Player's Choice version, they put an arbitrary lock on the Ice Beam door to Plasma Beam, and the lock only disappears once you get Grapple Beam.
Yeah, so that's really disappointing.
Well, a lot of those, the reason we modified it in later versions was for tuning reasons and because of some of the bugs that occur when sequence breaks happens. Like I said, that crash remembered was related to one of the locks. I think that's the lock on the door to the first room in the Phase on Mines, the door on the right. In later versions, there's a lock on that.
Right. Here comes a really difficult ghetto jump off the spider track. Got it. Nice.
Okay, that platform, once you go all the way around the room, platform extends out by the door. That platform is actually always there, but invisible. So I just jump to it while it's invisible and land just fine.
Okay.
And also, whoops. It also gets in the way there because the scan visor can't go through platforms. So you can't see it, but it's still blocking me.
So now he's going to go to Fendrana's grid, Fendrana, and then pretty much get all 3 artifacts there.
So we've received a donation with a question from the developer. Would you like to save kill or taunt these animals?
That's a hard question. I would say I'd have to say save them. I think that's
Yes!
We support your decision either way.
Begrudgingly, but
Also, if you're wondering why I support Save the Animals, it's because I speedrun Metroid Fusion.
And Miles does not. So
I like to think Samus would save them. I think she would do that.
no, she just doesn't know they're there. So
She's never met them in person.
So I mentioned that when you morph, your vertical velocity is set to 0. This is an example of it being useful right here. So so Samus is falling really fast, but you morph to set your vertical velocity to 0, so you can gain a little bit of extra distance to land on this platform.
yeah, that boost up into the Morphall tunnel is harder than it looks.
And here comes one of the more difficult rooms in the
Yes.
game. Oh man.
Yes.
So this is a ghetto jump into maybe an R jump.
It's not quite over yet.
There's something right here that can ruin this room.
Good.
Okay, so that jump he did was a ghetto jump off of a slight slant on the wall, and I don't think he did an R jump, but an R jump helps reaching that Morphall tunnel. It's not a hard trick, but if you mess it up, you fall all the way down, and you lose like maybe even a minute. It's so much time. Because you have to climb up this room all the way up again.
Yeah, like Fendrana has a lot of really tall rooms.
Like that is one of the most punishing rooms in the game.
It sort of reminds me of those vertical sections in the original Metroid. You miss one platform, and you miss all the other platforms,
and you fall.
end up all the way at the bottom.
Well, those ones are great because it's like, oh no, I'm falling. I need to move to fall on another platform. And by moving, you miss the next platform.
right.
You could have stayed still and
The
landed
thing
on
is
it.
with that specific jump, most people do an R jump, but if you miss it, you pressed R, so you lost all control of Samus, so
Yeah.
you can't move yourself to land on the platform. So he's entering the Pirate Labs backwards because he has Ice Beam. And there's an artifact in Control Tower, I think that's the name of the room.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of invisible things you can stand on here. Well, not invisible, but tiny things you can stand on.
Well,
so you
might
can
as well
do
be
that.
invisible, the one at the bottom.
Yeah. So he's using those as stepping stones to climb this room really quickly.
Yeah, you can stand some very small nooks and crannies just kind of sticking out of the wall.
Okay, this room, whoops, that's actually kind of bad. Good.
Okay, good.
Okay, that pirate had to break the glass. If you kind of screw up your execution through the room, he will not break the glass. And the only way to get through then is to completely leave the room and unload it.
Oh, hey, it's a Metroid. Wait, Metroids are in this game? No. Okay.
So while we're here, I'll talk a bit about the room design process. So when we're making rooms, what we would do is we would build what's called a blue room, where the room is just made with this blueprint texture and there's no arch or anything. And then we would go in and design where Samus goes, what she's looking at, the puzzles she interacts. We actually script the puzzles so they're playable. And then once the room is complete, then we would hand it to the art team and say, this room is an ice cavern and Samus is looking down this way. And the artists liked that because they knew exactly where the player was going to be, what they were looking at, what the flow of the room would be, so they could focus their art on where the player was looking.
By the way, that missile is not intended. What you're supposed to do is go inside one of the towers, melt an ice wall, and then you have a clear shot at the missile, but you can kind of just jump over one of those force field-ish walls and then fire, and then snipe it with the missile,
Yeah.
which is what Miles did.
He has plasming, so he could do it as intended. It's just it's slower. Yeah.
Unless you miss it once or twice or
The first thing you come through here, you don't have plasma yet, so you're not supposed to be able to get it. Just when the artifacts in Fendrana's Drift are kind of out of the way, because you make a second visit.
Okay, yeah, this room is tricky because I have to scan 3 things to get the thermal visor. Hopefully that was far enough. Got it. Okay.
Nice. All right. So basically, getting thermal visor costs almost no time in game, because even though there's cutscenes.
Well, it costs like 6 seconds.
but you don't want to waste those because thermal visor can be skipped, but you really want thermal visor for Metroid Prime because you don't want to fight Metroid Prime's final form blind.
Yeah,
That's not a good idea.
it is a really horrible idea.
And it just helps in a few rooms here and there as well.
Okay.
On the other hand, sorry.
Coming up is the Thardus dash, where I do a dash on Thardus to skip him. It is probably the most stressful part of the run, so I will definitely need to concentrate there. Basically, I'm going to dash over the trigger to start the fight, so if I mess it up, I'm going to start the fight. That costs a lot of time. So I have to not do that.
You're not getting that energy tank?
I already got
Oh,
it.
you got it.
Yeah, usually I get that energy tank then, but I got it earlier because I was low on health.
Thardus was one of the most fun bosses in development. He's just really one of the coolest fights in the game, and I really enjoyed testing him and playing against him.
We skip all this stuff.
Oh,
Oh, or not skip.
We'll have to see.
Yeah, so originally I didn't actually skip Thardus in 80% runs. So no one had really fought Thardus in 80% before, so I had to come up with this strat basically entirely by myself. So it's nice to be able to fight him quickly-ish.
This is honestly a very, very good strategy.
Like, most people just laid bombs, which is really slow compared to this.
Sniping out those shots while he's rolling around is really tricky.
this is a lot harder than it looks on this one. He has to make sure every shot hits, and he has to snipe it while snipe his weak point while
Yeah,
he's
like
rolling.
that. That's really difficult. So it's just-
Completely blind.
No. Thardus, why?
Also, if you're wondering why he's taking so much damage, it's because you're not supposed to have plasma beam at this fight.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, you're not supposed to have ice beam either, but ice beam does no damage at all with Nardus.
Well, it makes sense. He's in the ice area.
Yeah.
I'll just
If you had a power bomb, then a power bomb would be the best way to finish off the final rock.
Oops. So that was an okay fight. It would have got a lot better if I did get a power bomb, but unfortunately I didn't. Now, having Spider will save time later in the run. I don't have to do a really annoying trick in Metroid Quarantine A, and also there's some tricks to climb up Spider shafts that I no longer have to do, which are really difficult and can go horribly wrong.
So yeah, while that did waste some amount of time, it makes a lot of later parts of the run a lot less stressful.
Yeah, it does save some time later.
So while we're waiting for the next section, I want to mention something about one of the people I worked with on Metroid. One of the programmers who's responsible for a lot of the player controls and the camera systems was a wonderful fellow, Mark A. Hutchinson. Shortly after Metroid Prime 3 shipped, he was taken away from us from cancer. And I think it's absolutely wonderful that you guys are doing this in support of cancer. And, you know, since it does take away a lot of our friends and people that we worked with on amazing games like this. So thank you again.
Yeah, we've got an unbelievable amount of donations with stories just like that, very heartfelt. Obviously, many of you out there have in some way, you, a family member, a friend, has been touched in some way by this horrible thing. And we want to thank all of you for all of your donations. Raised almost $620,000 so far. in, a little under 6 days, and that's amazing. Thank you all.
It's ridiculously high.
I also want to inform you guys, you're meeting our ridiculously high, we thought were ridiculously high donation incentives and goals so quickly. We keep making up new ones. So tomorrow we'll be playing Paper Mario, and I guess there's a skip at the end. I'm sort of describing myself. There's a skip at the end where Luigi, Mario's brother, does not get to come to the party. However, for the Luigi fans out there, for $5,000, Luigi will be coming to that party.
Whoops.
One of those visors works. And with that, with Pendrana's finished.
Yeah. Not going back there again. Unfortunately for everyone who loves Vendrana.
Has good music.
Yeah, definitely.
I've got a $50 donation from Alexander Stockholm. Metroid games have been my life. Love seeing them run at these events. Save the animals. I hear they can cure cancer. Shoutouts to the 502 crew and Smug Pac-Man.
So what you're supposed to do here is to basically activate a boost ball slot to raise a bridge, but you can just skip that by doing a dash jump here. And now Miles is going to get the artifact here and then use a power bomb, which has conveniently enough has another power bomb expansion, but it's also kind of a shortcut to the next destination. And he's going to get Ice Spreader.
Yeah, it's actually a tiny bit slower to go through here, but I want the extra power bomb because it's like that power bomb is worth wasting a second out of the way.
The primary spot that Ice Spreader saves time on is on Metroid Prime. Ideally, in an ideal fight, Ice Spreader actually loses time, but it makes the fight a lot easier and more consistent.
Yeah.
So, and for people wondering why he didn't get Super Missiles would be really useful,
Yes,
but it's very out of the way.
Yeah, you don't even enter the observatory, so you don't go anywhere near them.
Whereas Ice Spreader is like pretty much on the way here. It costs almost no time.
And I wanted to point out that if he's bunny hopping along the ground, that maintains most of the momentum that he has from the scan dash.
Yeah, so I can move really fast at that ring. Unfortunately, there's not really many places you can use that in the run.
Because of the winding passages.
Yeah, and also the fact that you can't turn while doing it.
So the loading corridors between the levels, the reason it's broken up is each world has a finite size because of the way floating point works in computers. So we can't make it all one continuous world. So the elevators break it up into sections, and also the audio systems have to be broken up into sections based on which section of the world you're in.
Right, so Miles is going to be making a bit of a detour to Chozo Ruins right here because he needs to get the artifact of Lightkeeper, I think.
Yeah.
In Tower of Light. He's going to go to Chozo Ruins, get it, and then come back out the same way. Which is kind of like the only annoying detour part with this route, because everything else kind of flows pretty well. Besides Newborn, but you can't do much about that.
Yeah.
Is this an okay time that I read a little bit longer donation, or is there a better time later on?
It's fine.
All right. I have a $926.92 donation. To be more accurate, PCF has that donation. I do not, but from Miss Neuro Fish Fox. I want to thank everyone who has helped make AGDQ 2014 a success. The runners, people behind the scenes, commentators, mods, viewers, donors, and everyone else involved. The donations made by people can really make a difference, and anyone who cannot donate, just by tuning in and spreading the word about AGDQ, you are helping. The more people that learn about the event, the more this can grow. The more it grows, the more we can raise for cancer prevention. And the more we can raise for cancer prevention, the more we can all help prevent from having to suffer from cancer, whether in their own lives or the lives of their loved ones. You've probably heard the tales from people throughout this event, the emotional and physical suffering it causes. Just taking a few minutes yourself to donate or tell your friends and family can make a real step toward preventing this suffering in others. Also, bid suggestion info, bid towards Chrono Trigger Luca named Neuro, because I have a huge ego. Thank you very much.
Okay, so if you're listening to the Curry Master right there clapping, I just pulled out the most important trick in the entire run, getting that into that morph ball hole.
By the way, he's kind of sarcastic. It's just something that looks cool.
No, it's the most important trick in the world.
If you missed it, would you reset in a marathon?
Right.
Second is scanning the items.
It makes up for missing the artist dash, of course.
Yes.
All right, so if you're wondering why he was able to get Life Giver like that without Gravity Suit, he did a ghetto jump. And to note, ghetto jumps underwater without Gravity Suit, you get a ridiculous amount of height from it. Like, if you notice, he was able to make it with, almost able to make it with just one jump. So.
Yeah, so no need for Gravity Suit.
Like, the main spots you need Gravity Suit is for that one artifact and then going to the Crash Frigate. But you never go to the Crash Frigate, as you'll see why.
Spoilers.
I just realized I didn't say it when I first got to the ship. So, good thing I did not need it.
All right, so this room he's gonna go to with there's an elevator by this room from Chozo Ruins. It's pretty much supposed to be one way. There's no way to
just
get.
watch this.
Just watch this. Very nice.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be able to go to this elevator. You're supposed to come out of it. And this allows for a really quick route to be able to get the artifact you're about to get soon. Oh, wait, do you get it after phase on mines?
Yeah, I get it later, but still, it's a really quick route to get the phase on mines.
Got a $25 donation from Curtis Mackey. Question for the developer. What was your team's reaction when you heard that you were going to work on a new Metroid game, if you don't mind answering? I'm sure many of you were fans of the older games.
I won't talk too much about it, I mean, because it was an entire group effort. I'll say for my personal thing, I thought it was amazing. Retro was a new studio, and we were working together on some of the different games and everything, and, the idea of doing a Metroid game came by, and, I'm just like, wow, that's going to be an incredibly amazing thing to work on. And, we realized just how important this game was, so we really put our best effort into it.
Okay, coming up is probably everyone's least favorite room in the game of Life Grove Tunnel, because it's a half-pipe room, and it's so hard to get up it because it just randomly stops your momentum. So let's see how it goes this time.
There we go.
There you go.
Oh.
Now, I'd still have to go through Life Grove Tunnel another time. So, I got the one frame morph. Yes, there's one frame where you can morph after getting an item like that. So that saves a little bit of time. That looks really cool.
If you're wondering whether X-Visor is skippable or not, it's not skippable. For the only reason you can't skip it is because you can't damage Omega Pirate without X-Ray Visor, and you need Phazon Suit to beat the game.
Yeah, admittedly, it wouldn't be useful to skip it in this run anyway, because it's useful on the final boss to be able to see it.
Yeah, in this game, when enemies or bosses are invisible, you can't interact with them, you can't damage them.
Well,
but
that's
platforms
only Omega Pirate.
And Prime.
No, you can damage
Yeah,
Prime.
Prime.
It's just
okay.
you can't lock on, so that makes it really
Yeah, it's just the way the Beta Fire
That jump is
coded.
also not
He's
intentional.
keyed
He
to
did
the
a hard
visors.
jump to
His
get out
vulnerability
that
is
way.
keyed to the visor that you're using.
Yeah. I do use the Thorough Visor layer just to make dark rooms easier to see.
All right, and this is one of the more difficult bomb jumps.
Can't
in
really
the game.
lock up there.
Nice.
Yeah, first try. First try.
It looks like he did a really easy double bomb jump. That bomb jump is much harder than it looks. Like, ridiculously hard.
Like 20, 30 tries hard.
Yes, and coming up soon is power bombs. And to get power bombs, you have to go through a randomly generated maze.
Ah, the infamous maze.
Yes.
This maze is entirely my fault
Yes.
because the reason is when we were designing the room, we wanted to give something that made the power bomb, made it a challenge to get the power bomb, and we didn't want to do another boss. We didn't have the resources and stuff like that. So the idea of a small maze came in through. And actually, when I was a young teenager, one of the first little games I wrote was actually a maze game that uses randomly generated mazes. So to me, it was like bring one of these little pieces of my childhood into the game and actually generate the maze when you enter the room, and then so it's different every time. It's a little bit of a speedrunner nightmare because it is different every time.
Well, actually, while it is difficult because of the length, I've actually created a little program to figure out which maze I got.
That's why I'm using a laptop right now, because I'm getting Miles' program ready.
How many mazes did you guys track?
300. There are 300 mazes in the game.
Interesting. That sounds about right from the algorithm that was generated.
Yeah, I went and manually drew all 300 of them.
That is an impressive amount of work.
So once we get to the powerbomb maze, Miles is going to. I'm going to get this ready.
Yeah.
Miles is going to type in the inputs for the maze, and we're going to show it off to the camera.
Yes. Hopefully, I will not screw the inputs up.
So I'll get this ready for him.
Oh yeah. Also, I'm jumping on the sleep pirate.
He didn't notice you were on top of it.
That's all he's good for.
Oh yeah, there's enemy here.
So this guy doesn't normally attack you the first time you come through here, but he shows up when you get X-ray. Right?
It's plasma.
Oh, it's plasma? Okay, yeah. So, but the idea is when you come through here the second time the guy wakes up.
Okay, here we go.
That was supposed to be Invisible Joe, by the way.
Yes.
So how he's doing this is that. Okay.
It's top left. Just click on it. Yes! I win. I guess 37 squares. It is 37 squares.
Wow.
Can we see it as well over here?
And everyone else was wrong.
I think you cheated somehow.
Oh, crap. I need that back. I need that back. Yeah.
I've got
How fast? How do you figure out which maze it is quickly?
I input the data for 3 squares, like which sides don't have electricity, and then it'll bring up every maze that matches that combination for those 3 squares. I was unlucky there and actually brought up 3 mazes. There was about an 80% chance it'll only bring up 1, and a 2% chance it'll bring up 3 or more.
So I typed in the maze results into the Quake chat. Essentially, the higher the percentage, the worse the maze is. And the possible lengths of the maze is any odd number between 15 through 55, excluding the number 53. Obviously, the lower the number is, the better. And 37 is pretty average, I guess.
Yeah.
Not fantastic, not bad.
Yeah, they're all supposed to take a while to get through, but the water posts throughout the maze can create unintentional shortcuts, which...
Yeah, that was coded that way. The algorithm was coded so that the maze always took a certain minimum length, even with the water pools. And that's how the algorithm was generated.
Well, it can get down to like 15 squares sometimes. So.
So you're supposed to have grapple beam for these rooms, but screw that. He's just gonna dash through.
I've got a $300 donation from Jaxis. Jaxis again. I know I've given a lot to this run, but I have to give more. I just found out my good friend Alan was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. It's personal now. So please, everyone, keep donating what you can. P.S. Alan loves animals, so I find it appropriate to save the animals in Super Metroid.
I should probably not have boosted through the attack. Oh, ooh. Okay, time for really stupid stuff.
Oh my god.
There's that geometry again.
So, save. I will be taking you.
He's supposed to dash off the plasma trooper to reach the other side. But it's a very difficult dash.
No, you're not.
What's a grapple beam?
Okay, now for Omega Pirates. At the beginning, when you skip the cutscene and you're at the side, you can stop him from seeing you, and you'll see what happens when that happens. Whoops, a bit too early. See, now he's just standing there. I can really shoot.
No, with both Omega Pirate and Elite Pirates, as long as you don't lock gazes on them, you can just kind of slowly walk around and they'll just turn like an idiot, trying to look at you.
Actually, it doesn't matter for Omega Pirate because...
Well, with your strategy, it doesn't matter, yeah. But you'll see Miles abuse that on the Elite Pirate and the phase on Elite Pirate.
Okay, that power bomb right there did no damage at all. It just made him disappear 4 seconds faster.
If you time it perfectly, these troopers will not appear either. But luckily, they're plasma troopers, so they die really quickly.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't cost time to have the troopers appear. It just makes things easier. Also, that power bomb made him not invisible. So. Okay, I need to listen here. Okay.
So how that fight works is that Omega Pirate will always spawn in the pool farthest away from you. At the same time, he will never appear in the same pool twice. So at the first round, Miles stood between 2 pools, so he will appear from the 3rd pool away. And then after that, he stood by one of the 2 pools he didn't appear. So there's only one option that the Omega Pirate will appear in.
By the way, I have gravity suit now. And now it's gone. My poor gravity suit.
Yeah, the cutscene's a little confused, but he does indeed have not the gravity suit.
I've got a $655.36 donation from Charles McCann. It's a delight to hear Zoid discussing the finer points of the game's design. Retro really got everything right in this game. The money this marathon is raising would be enough to fund a complete research lab for years. So from this biochemist, thank you all. Save the animals. Yes. For Zoid.
Zoid, you make the right choice.
Thank you.
Right, so there's actually a... Sorry?
Go ahead.
So there's actually a way to get this artifact without phase-on suits, but it's not viable at all at any percent. You need at least, I think, a minimum of 12 energy tanks to get this. 11, okay.
Well, it's 11 unless you want to backcheck for health, which takes forever. So you do not want to do that.
So in an ideal 100% run, you would actually get this artifact early because you have, I think, 13 energy tanks coming in here. So you would have enough to get this without this annoying detour. But at any percent, you can't do much about that unless you want to get 11 energy tanks, which is probably not a good idea.
I've got a $100 donation from Kaznode. You get 4 of the best Super Metroid runners of all time doing a speed run in the same room, and you want them to go slower? Heresy. Kill the animals.
Well, I would also like to point out that please put your money towards ignore and not taunt, because taunt will also cost time.
If you're going to kill them, you should taunt them.
They're just being cool.
We don't support cruelty to animals.
You could at least go with she doesn't know they're there if you ignore them. So.
And just to give you guys another update on that bidding war, it's been going back and forth. Right now, Killing has $25,676. Saving has $26,754.
Oh my god.
So about 1080 about. Quick math.
Okay, I missed that turret, so that could have been bad. And
Okay. That was the clutchest powerbomb I've ever seen.
So,
yeah, since I didn't fight the elite pirate, it's still there, and so I have to jump like that to get over the trigger to avoid fighting it again. And if you trigger to fight, the door's locked, so I can't just trigger it and then move.
now fighting him doesn't waste a ridiculous amount of time, but what's the bigger problem is that to fight him, you use up a lot of missiles, and Miles needs as many missiles as he can use on the face on Elite Pirate.
Now, Kamigo is one of the most difficult tricks in the run, except not because I was fighter. So, unfortunately, you don't get to see it. But you're able to climb this room and the room coming up without actually having spider. And it's these really stupid tricks. Like, you have to, like, jump next to the spider track and get stuck next to it. And then be able to...
Yeah, Spider Ball.
Spider Ball. Yeah. So basically what he was starting to do there is what you would be doing, except for he has
I'm
Spider
just
Ball.
talking about not having to do them, and I do them anyway.
So memory is strong.
Yeah, but those tricks are really hard.
So right here, there's a wall on the other side, except you're not supposed to be able to go through this room until due to the way that he came in through. So that's why you don't see anything. You're supposed to blow up the wall using the turrets.
Hey, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? You really want to get rid of those pirates. You'll see here that I just stopped the elite pirate from noticing me. If those pirates are there, they'll sometimes shoot the pirate and they'll notice me and that ruins everything.
This is what I was talking about before. As long as you don't line up your vision with the based on Elite's vision, then you can just manipulate him and make him walk around like an idiot like that.
Yeah, this makes things a lot simpler.
And you cannot fight this pirate until you have the main power bomb.
Yes, even if you got a power bomb early, it does not actually exist until you've gotten the main power bomb to change the room later.
Oh yeah, that's something important to note. That's the reason why Miles did not go through based on Mine's normal way, even though he did have power bombs already. Because, as they mentioned, even if you have power bomb expansions, you can't blow it up. And this climb is pretty annoying.
Yes.
Oh.
No, Samus, why do you do this? Hi there.
Oh, a power bomb drop.
Yeah, this is one of those alignment puzzles with the spider-wall tracks. You have to realign them multiple times to get up there, and it's really annoying.
And I just
I thought it was interesting in casual play, but in a speedrun it takes forever.
Yeah.
It takes a really long time.
And even
I'm not
if
sure
you
if
have
annoying is a good word for the puzzles. I would say challenging.
Oh, I'm sorry, when you're trying to speedrun.
Yes.
Miles, you wasted a power bomb. Are you okay?
oops, what will I do about that wasted power bomb?
It's not like you're gonna get a refill soon, right? So essentially, the main part of the game is over. He has pretty much every artifact besides, I think, there's one in Chozo Ruins and one in Talon Overworld. So he's basically going to make his way toward the Temple of Artifacts, the Artifact Temple, and get the artifacts on the way there.
Yeah, the design behind the artifacts, the idea is, of course, once you've got most of the major abilities and power-ups, the artifacts give you the ability to go through rooms and enjoy the power of having all those artifacts, or all those weapons and everything. And some people say that reach reversal is a big part of Metroid, and it's one way we wanted to do it.
Miles, do you like power bomb drops? I think you got another one.
Those, I think, are a really high chance of power bombs. Yeah, another thing is I actually found all the drop rates for every room in the game, which can be helpful sometimes to know the percentage of getting certain drops.
And drop rates vary by room, not by, well, kind of by enemy, but only per room. So like a puffer in one room will have different drop rates than a puffer in a different room.
Yeah.
I've got a $20 donation from Mist Agent. Hearing Spike Vegeta read donations is always the best part of any GDQ event. 20 for what you want, Spike. One, I agree. Yes. I am somehow more entertaining than Blind Punch Out. And two, I want to kill the animals.
Boo!
A true speedrunner.
So I'm sorry for not doing your puzzle there.
That's fine. This room was one of the more challenging ones. The vertical doors were actually really annoying because there was a lot of ways testers could get stuck in them. So there's a lot of, you might have noticed there's probably a lot of different triggers and stuff that push you to make sure you're kind of centered sometimes. Because the way that the morph ball and everything could get through the door, there's all kinds of ways that testers found to get stuck in the horizontal doors. So we had to do a bunch of tricks to make them work correctly.
Is that why in Prime 2 there are no vertical doors? Because they're really annoying to deal with? I'm pretty sure
I think that's part of the reason. It made development easier.
Honestly, I think that the vertical doors are actually a cool idea. I wish they
really
could have been
cool.
implemented.
I don't think there's any in Prime 3 either, but if I recall, I think Zoid said that most of the team in Retro that worked on Prime 1 and 2 were gone before Prime 3, something like that.
I don't remember staffing at all. I mean, we all worked together on these games. I think you have one more artifact to get, and that's it.
Yes.
And then we get to wait at the long load door.
I've got a $20 donation from Lorne. Thank you for running what is hands down one of the most immersive. Thank you for running what is hands down one of the most immersive and enjoyable games I had the pleasure of playing in my teenage years. I could get lost in the twisting level designs of Metroid Prime 1 and 2 for hours upon hours. You guys are doing great work. I have family that fought various cancers. My mother and aunt won. My grandfather and another aunt of mine lost. Give cancer a super missile in the face for me.
So for people who are interested in learning or getting better at speedrunning Prime 1 and Prime 2, or God forbid, Prime 3, there's a website we have called Metroid2002.com. You can check out you can look at the website for places to start with. A lot of the tricks are outdated and stuff, but it's a good place to start with. And you can go on the forums and ask questions and stuff about routes or help out with tricks and stuff. And the more experienced players will be there to help out. This goes for Metroid Fusion and Zero Mission as well. I think Super Metroid has their own IRC channel they use, so that they don't really use Metroid 2002.
Okay. This fight, Ridley is split into an air phase with 2000 HP and a ground phase with about 610 HP, I think. The air phase is not immune to Boost Ball. Boost Ball does 50,000 damage per frame. Okay, that's that. But, do something there. But yeah, once he lands, I'll be able to. Okay, I'm completely confused now.
This has never happened before.
No, it has happened before. It's just really, really good. Yeah, his path is really off. So, yeah.
Bye, Airface.
Yep. It's all gone now. Unfortunately, that does not work on this phase. So I do have to fight it.
But the idea was to boost through him while he was dashing.
This fight is very luck dependent. This is depending on what patterns he does, and if he activates a glitch where you can't damage him around. That's why sometimes you see Miles shooting a few uncharged shots to make sure that the glitch isn't activated.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Got a $50 donation from Brad Smith. Save the animals or help Luigi get to the party. Talk about a moral conundrum. Let Blue Glass decide. Also, I love the Metroid Prime music. Keep up the good work, guys, and go home, Cancer. You're drunk.
So, coming up soon is the trick.
Luigi?
Yeah, save Luigi. Coming up soon is a trick called a BSJ, which is bomb space jump. And it's not really used much in Prime 1, but you're gonna see it. You would have seen one in the Spider Shafts if we got Stardust Dash. But basically, you do a bomb jump, and then you get an instant unmorph, and you're able to jump out of it as if you're on the ground. And essentially what happens is that the game stores your state value in like a certain variable, and for 22 frames, for the first 22 frames, the morph ball goes into the air. It's the same state as Samus in human form, standing on ground. So if you get an instant unmorph within those 22 frames, you can jump as if you're on the ground. So this right here.
Well, you would have seen it. Oh.
Yay, Metroids.
And that's a backup ghetto jump.
Yeah, but it's like you can jump in the middle of the air with that trick. That's really neat.
It's not very common in Prime 1 because Prime 1 is very iffy with giving you instant unmorphs. It's a lot more versatile in Prime 2 and 3 because both games give you instant unmorphs pretty much all the time.
Now for the very, very, very random final boss. Oh.
Yeah, I
Oh,
did.
the clip is still here.
Just yell louder.
Oh. Why is this clip so hard?
Pull it up to you.
So this final battle, of course, one of the designs behind it was to make sure that every weapon was used, and to feature the the ice spreader and the other power-ups to really make it feel like you have to use them all.
So for the first 3 rounds of the major rounds of the fight, essentially the first round, Prime will go from power to wave. Second round, Prime will go do in some order power, wave, ice. And in the third round, he will go from all 4 once each.
Yes, this right here is the reason I get the ice spreader. After an ice phase, and when he turns around, I can use it again. Oh, well, not again because I didn't use it the first time. But that lets me skip that entire wave phase. And wave and power are slow, so you definitely want to do that.
So essentially, you want to do as much damage as possible with plasma and ice because they deal the most damage to Metroid Prime. I think Metroid Prime takes double damage from ice beam as well. Whereas power and waving do very little.
That's
damage.
1.5 times.
1.5 times, okay. Especially wave, because wave beam is actually weaker than power. I think the charge shot is weaker than the power beam charge shot.
It is helpful though because wave homes in, so you'll miss power a lot more than you miss wave. This is not a time you want wave.
Yeah, like in this floor, ideally you want to have plasma, then power or wave, then ice, then power or wave.
No. Brian, why are you doing this? I actually want ice next. So. Especially now. Thank you. Okay, the first 4, it's power and wave, then next is power wave ice, and the next power wave ice plasma, all one time in any order. Now it's completely random. It can do whatever it wants and change at any time. So you really want to stay, and there it goes. Like basically, ice and plasma are fast, power and wave are slow. So you want it to stay on the ice and plasma.
Well, you don't have super missiles, right?
Yeah. Power would be really great if I had super missiles, but unfortunately I don't. Yes. That's. I would have preferred plasma, but whatever.
Better than power and wave. Okay.
That was for me.
Okay, this right here, I do need to concentrate.
Can we get music?
Fine. Now there, by entering and exiting the pool like that, I can use a shot without actually draining the pool at all. And look, I did over half its health. So using that trick, I can potentially do the fight in 2 pools. We'll just have to see how the second one goes. This is why I want thermal visor right here. I'll just spoil it now and say that was not so hard. But it was still a really good run, aside from missing Thorough Stash.
At least we got to see the starters fight.
Yeah, more entertainment.
Wait, where'd you get the suit from? What is that?
I had a spare gravity suit the whole time.
Okay.
I just wasn't authorized to use it, unfortunately.
All right, so I think a lot of people in the room put down predictions for Miles' final time and Link to the Powerbomb maze.
Yes, there's only 2 times that are above 59, so good job, guys. You're gonna win this
I
one.
think there's Spike Vegeta and Conster 786.
Yeah.
Get that
We'll see
face.
who's closer. According to the Spike Vegeta predicted 1 hour, Conster predicted 1 hour 1 minute.
So considering we have a developer on the Skype call with us, I think it's fitting to just let the credits play out. Show all the people who made this game.
Thank you. Good run.
Thanks.
Do you guys have any other questions for me while these credits roll?
Why did you have to make the Powerbomb maze?
So you would have to spend time trying to go
David
300
Zoid
of them.
Kirsch, right there. That's him.
And as I mentioned before, the name right beside me is Mark A. Hutchison, who, of course, we lost to cancer as well. And it's awesome that you guys are doing this and supporting research for cancer.
I have a question. Who came up with the idea of these animations at the title screen and at the ending?
So we worked with a wonderful concept artist called Andrew Jones, goes by the name Android, and he's one of the most amazing concept artists that I've ever worked with, and he came up with a lot of these. He did the concepts for a lot of these drive-by screens, and all the scans you see in the game is all his art. The little space pirate scan images you see.
Wow.
He's off doing art around the world. Last time I checked, he's one of the most talented people I've ever worked with. I have to say that the whole team that made this game is just an amazing experience to work with everybody there. It all pulled together, an amazing game got developed because of it.
So if you viewers go around with the Prime community and stuff, you'll notice that we sometimes talk about a Zoid that speedruns the game and a developer Zoid. They're 2 different people.
Yeah.
Just FYI, they're 2 different people.
That's happened to me before. Some people sent me an email like, "Are you speedrunning your own game?" And what you worked on, and I'm like no, I don't think so.
Like the Metroid Prime player I'm talking about, a lot of the times on SDA for Metroid Prime are someone by, I think, Besmir Shek or something like that. And that is the MP Zoid. We kind of nicknamed it MP Zoid.
No, he had nicknamed himself MP Zoid.
Okay, he nicknamed himself MP Zoid. They're different Zoids. So, and I really like the list of special things right here under Retro Studios. We'd also like to thank.
Funny story. He actually went by the name Miles before switching to Zoid. So.
Well, okay, thank you very much for having me. That was really cool.
Thank you so much for being on here.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You guys are doing a fantastic job, and I'm amazing amount of money. Have a good night.
Thank you very much. Yeah, if people are wondering who the Miles SMB is on QuakeNet, it's this laptop right here. Or unless you're wondering if Miles can type and play at the same time, because that's not unreasonable.
Okay, now to see the final time.
Monster wins the time.
Dang.
All right, well,
I won the Powerbomb maze. That's what matters, really.
You got exactly. I think you guessed exactly 37.
Yes.
Yeah, you did.
All right, well, that was almost cool, but whatever. All right, big shout outs to Miles and everyone on the couch. That was awesome to watch. Always a pleasure. I want to thank you guys once again for just piling up donations. We've now crossed over $632,000. And I want to give you guys one little update before as they're setting up for Super Metroid. We have got, once again, Save Kill the Animals. And right now, last time I told you guys, Kill was down $1,100. Now it is up $200. Kill with $27,904, Save with $27,685, raising a total of $55,589 so far, and we haven't even started the race yet.
Are we blocking them?
With that, we're going to get set up for all the great races we've had this marathon. We have saved one of the best for last. One of the last. I don't know how many we've had after this. But everyone get ready, get pumped. We're going to send you guys to a commercial break real quick, and we'll be right back. Wow, how much do we have? Jesus. Super Metroid Super Famicom Cart and a Varia Suit Samus Perler AGDQ 14. All of those are varying ranges between $5 and $25 minimum, so just donate $25 and you're in for all of that. So again, first up we have got the great Miles SMB doing Metroid Prime. Any percent. I actually was not sure what we were doing. I'll read a few quick donations while we're going through this. We have a $50 donation from Brendan Walsh. Awesome runs for a great cause. Lost 3 grandparents to cancer, and my grandmother is currently fighting hers back. $10 donation from Jack Kowalski. Molotov Boone wants to continue his adventure in VIP 1. He is waiting. Put this towards whatever Molotov wants. Got a $50 donation from Evan Ricker. I've been waiting all marathon for something truly worthwhile to donate for, and with all the announcements of the Bonesaw to Earn dance, that time is finally now. Of course, cancer prevention is a truly worthwhile cause itself. Good luck with the remaining runs. Thank you very much, Evan. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to the couch. If you guys want to introduce yourself, introduce the runner and the commentators, and we can get started.
Yes, runner. I'm Kirby Master.
I'm TJP.
I'm ready to start anytime.
Whatever.
Yeah, I don't use it real time.
Did you get that it was Fusion Suit?
Oh. Can I just continue anyway? How much did it win by?
1,000?
Yeah.
You can pool our money.
Someone snipe it already, right now.
We have a $4,001 donation.
Whoa.
Whoa. speed run through some of the greatest and worst video games of all time. We just got done running through the 3D Zelda block. Again, shout outs to both ZFG and Molotov and the Couch crew for the great commentary. Next up, we have got Metroid Prime, followed by Super Metroid, and then Metroid Zero Mission. So get hype, everyone. We are Speed Demos Archive and Speedruns Live coming together to put on AGDQ 2014 to raise money for the Prevent Cancer Foundation, who is going to try to do exactly what I just said, prevent cancer. So far, you guys have very generously donated over $600,000, which is an incredible amount of money to say the least. Real quick, I think we want to show you guys some of the prizes. Looks like we got coming up for this block. Looks like we got a Super Metroid Perler.
So this is the provided by Viking GMR. Very cool guy. It's actually the price for AGDQ, but somehow it was never claimed. So there's a price for AGDQ. It's a $25 buy-in during the entire Metroid block. So if you donate $25 during this block, that'll make you eligible for this prize. And we also have this amazing poster. The guy who is the official illustrator for the Ghostbusters comics, and it's a $20 buy.
Yeah, there's actually a ton of prizes, like throughout most of the marathon. There are a ton of prizes for this block, including the HD PVR Rocket video recorder, which will require a $10 donation throughout Metroid Prime. And then all the rest of these prizes are for all of the Metroid block, including the AGDQ 2013 scrapbook, a Metroid cast poster of AGDQ 2014, Samus Aran action figure, Samus Perler, Samus vinyl decal, Shine Sparker's poster, and seed.
So the tube section here you're going through was one of the early map designs and one of the ways, first maps we designed that kind of looped back on itself. So it was fun to kind of like make the whole areas connect together. After that, of course, we did it much more with the other worlds. But you know, it was kind of the first way we had a whole level that kind of looped around and came together.
Yeah, I really like how the whole frigate is interconnected and you go back to the earlier parts of the frigate through the escape.
It's actually was a bit of a challenge because the way the game works, you're actually moving, your relative position in the world is actually constant, so we're just loading the areas around you. So when it loops back, it actually has to connect correctly. We're not cheating by teleporting you between the rooms or anything. So, you know, it can sometimes be a little tricky to get everything to line up just perfectly.
Now, something to mention here is, if you remember last AGDQ, Miles did a trick in Prime 2 called Item Loss Skip. Prime 1, that's basically impossible to do at the moment, because there's actually 2 spots in Prime 1 where you lose your items. The first is coming up, which is the obvious part where you crash into some electric barrier and you lose everything. You can actually skip that by going out of bounds and going around it. However, when you take your ship after you escape from the gate, the moment you land on Talon Overworld, the game strips you of everything you have automatically. So even if you can skip this cutscene right here, you still cannot skip losing your items.
Yeah, I think that's hard-coded actually, so.
Yeah, it's actually really, really annoying to skip this item loss right here. So.
Of course, you know, the old argument is skipping is actually something that we find was amazing for us because it's not something that was engineered into the game. The game is, you know, set. I'll kind of talk about how the levels are set up. So each room kind of consists as what's kind of like layers. So like if you go to a room and then you go pick up, you know, the gravity suit and you come back to Flagrant to different environments in the room. And those layers are controlled about which items get picked up in the game. So if you...
Now I feel bad. I got an applause from the audience for that.
There are all you people who had to donate money to make this.
It's so pretty.
3, 2, 1, go.
So the combo saying you're gonna need to scan a bunch of extra stuff.
Yeah, so now for the most difficult part of the game.
Yes.
These targets.
All right. Yeah.
Yes!
Okay. Part 2. All right. World record
For those
pace.
of you wondering why we're clapping, Miles is very known for resetting within the first 5 seconds because he misses a target.
So it was very nice to get those well in the run. Yes. Everything else after this is so easy.
Practically an auto-scroller.
Auto-scroller.
So what you're seeing Miles doing here with the scan visor, by locking onto something, strafing, and then letting go of L at the right time, he's able to move in the air at high speed and gain a lot of horizontal distance. So it's used to move around rooms really quickly, but also to outright break the game, which you'll see later on after he gets up the frigate.
Basically, when you're locked onto something and you strafe to the side, you move really fast, then you slow down really fast. But if you let go of L, it forgets to do the slowing down really fast part. So you just go flying to the side. You can do it.
There's somebody on the Skype call?
Good evening, it's Zoid here. How you guys doing?
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Is there a way you could turn the volume up?
Yeah, I'm turning.
Hello?
Yep, we can hear you.
Excellent.
So would you mind?
Thank you for doing this.
Would you mind introducing yourself?
Hi, my name is Zoid. I'm one of the programmers on Metroid Prime. I was the senior gameplay programmer. I did a lot of the puzzle scripting and interactables, like the door you just shot through, stuff like that. So basically, I did a lot of the development on the systems for the puzzles and stuff. I didn't do much of the boss fights or AIs. I did some of the environments around them, but you know, it was a team of a ton of people, so it was fun making it all.
It's great to have you on.
Sure.
Just a warning that the stream is about 30 seconds behind, so.
Okay.
So the technique you're going to see Miles do here is something called rapid fire missile, where basically when you fire your missile and then you close, when you fire your missile, the end of Samus's arm cannon opens up, and then she has to take time to close it to fire the next missile, but you can close it immediately by either holding C up or by pressing A. And like, now you basically just want to hold C up and then press Y at the right timing, so you can kill the Parasite Queen really quickly like that.
Also, that boss has a weak point, but you can kind of just aim without even locking on the system.
Yeah, you're supposed to scan the boss, and once it's fully scanned over like 5 seconds, you can lock onto the weak point, or you can just aim up and hit it.
This is actually one of the first bosses we worked on, and one of the ones I actually designed myself with another designer.
Nice.
The original concept was she was going to come in through the side of the room, but we went with the tube mechanic with the force fields. It worked out to be a much more interesting mechanic, and to teach the player about moving left and right and strafing is a big part of Metroid.
So if you notice, you see Miles constantly jumping. And the reason why he's doing that is he's doing something called an L jump, where if you're holding L, then you jump, and then you let go of L around a quarter of a second later, then you move a little bit faster. So you want to L jump as much as possible if you're in human form, and there's nothing to scan dash off of. So like if you can't dash off of something, then L jumping is an alternative, which is moving faster than just walking. Of course, going into morph ball is faster than L jumping, so
But
you're
you
gonna
don't
see a lot of
want to
rolling.
keep morphing, unmorphing because there's an animation based.
Right.